All right, I have 4:15. We'll call the meeting to order. Would you please rise and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call. Sam Martin, here. Martha Eldridge, here. And Rick Morgan's here. The first of two public inputs. Anybody have anything under public input?
I do.
Go for it.
Should I just stand up and talk to you all?
You just tell us who you are and where you live.
All right. Well, my name's Jessica Williams, and I live on Old Granite Road in Ossipee. I wanted to come here and talk to everyone a little bit about an incident, I'll call it. It's not an isolated incident, but it's an incident that occurred at Connor Pond yesterday. I don't know how many of you are comfortable with this temperature, but it was extremely hot yesterday. Yeah. And I'm not really here to complain, I'm just here to raise a couple of issues regarding restricted access to public bodies of water in the town of Ossipee. So we all know Connor Pond is a public body of water, and the public is allowed to access this body of water. There is a boat launch. There is a sign that says no swimming. It is an administrative rule, it's not a law. You can be cited with a small fine, but you're not breaking any laws if you decide to disregard that sign and swim, which I chose to do. I was not in the water, but there is a neighbor, maybe some of you are familiar with Susan. Susan is not the property owner.
Last name?
I do not know. She's not the property owner, but 7 Hersom Road is the address that she visits. Susan is a public nuisance, and she screams and yells at people in the water to be quiet, as if she has control over the behavior of people in the water. I've asked Susan to go back to her dock and leave everyone alone, and we'll all go our merry way. And Susan decided that she should call the state. She should call Fish and Game. Last year I had the same problem with Susan, and I actually called the state myself. I spoke to Garrett at Fish and Game, and he stated that although yes, there is a no swimming sign, that is really a public safety issue at a boat launch, and there's no way that someone's going to become injured at the boat launch at Connor Pond because there are no motorized watercraft entering the water. So he said, go ahead and swim there. You're not supposed to swim there, but no one's going to really do anything about it. That was the conversation. So I went on my merry way, figuring I'm going to keep swimming at Connor Pond. It's a lovely place. It's in an old volcano. It's kind of magical. So yesterday, Susan says Fish and Game's coming. And I was like, fine, I'll wait. So I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and Fish and Game showed up, and a very nice conservation officer showed up. He was polite. And also, the camera crew for Northwoods Law showed up. And I thought, well, this is great. So let's do this. Let's talk about this. Conservation officer. I asked him, he told me I wasn't allowed to swim in Connor Pond without entering the water without a boat. So I asked him to define boat. What is a boat? Please tell me. Does the state define boat? Do you know the definition of boat? He could not answer me. He told me I wasn't allowed to swim there, and then I asked him to define swimming. I know the definition of swimming is propelling one's body through water with limbs. So I was neither swimming, I was not propelling myself through the water, I was standing in the water. However, I also did not have a boat. My car was full of children. I didn't have room for a boat. So they spoke to me, and we discussed the semantics of swimming in boats and the fact that this is a public body of water. He let me know that I am allowed to enter the water with a boat, immediately exit my boat, and swim all I want. So there's no jurisdiction over how far into the water I have to be to start swimming. So as long as you are holding a boat and you enter the water, you're fine, just so you know.
Is there a size requirement?
No, this is interesting.
So if you took a plastic model boat and walked into the water with it,
but I think you ought to propel that boat, not with your limbs. So I'm thinking of a very small oar.
Battery powered.
Battery powered.
Battery powered oar.
I'm on a boat.
No motorized vehicles.
No motorized. This is true. It better be a toy kayak. So I guess my question to the town is, it's probably not your job to define boat. I think that's to the state to define, and Fish and Game specifically. I have planned on continuing to swim at Connor Pond in a boat. It may be shaped like a swan. I may have a 2x4 as an oar, I may be wearing a life jacket, but I will enter the water with a boat. But the signage, do you have any jurisdiction over removing signs?
The quick answer, in all seriousness, I mean, we've had a little laugh about it, but what you've brought up is a serious issue. That piece of property is not under the town's jurisdiction. It is owned and maintained and governed by the state of New Hampshire Fish and Game Department under their public access division. But it does open up a very conversation I think that ought to be had, and I certainly don't mind joining in that conversation with you with Fish and Game. They have a set of administrative rules which do not, and therefore post no swimming at these public boat launches. And on its face, swimmers and boats don't mix. I mean, that's a pretty reasonable thing. However, I don't think that they make any distinction whatsoever between what is a motorized boat ramp and what is a car top canoe.
Exactly.
The danger factor of somebody being run over by a canoe is pretty small versus somebody backing in with a motorboat and getting caught up in a prop. I think they have one rule that they are trying to govern everything with.
Correct.
It makes it easier for them on enforcement, but I don't think it makes it reasonable for people. That particular piece of land, before Fish and Game owned it, for those who have been around for a while, that has been a swimming hole since forever. I mean, from my earliest, you lived up there, from my earliest memories, people swam there from that exact lot. So I'm going to suggest that, and I don't know that we'll get anywhere with this, but I'll make a motion that this board send a letter to the New Hampshire Fish and Game requesting that they relook at the no swimming rule at what is a car top launch, non-motorized launch.
Second that motion.
Any further discussion on that?
No, not on that.
All in favor? So we're going to send them a letter.
Okay.
Please, understand that whether or not it will.
I've written him an email. He recently appointed me to another board.
I think I saw you bending Ed's ear out there.
Maybe a little.
He actually attends the Fish and Game meetings and tapes them. So let's see if we can get something started.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Aaron?
I'm going to add to that a little public input. Considering the state of the, quote, town beaches, I get a little bent out of shape every time I hear anybody talking about closing the beaches of the town. Another thing that disturbed me, and Jessica didn't mention that, but from what I understand from her, is that the Fish and Game officer also said that she could not enter the pond by that little stream on the road, which people have used for years, because it would create a parking problem, and the town would get all upset about it, and he was going to issue them citations if they did it.
I'm going to correct you, because he was going to issue citations for people parking in non-parking spots.
Oh, okay.
And fine, if that's how you want to be, that's fine.
But anyway, there are none, right, where I'm talking about.
Right, there are none at the other little
We've
entrance.
probably been in, well, we've gone in there and fished, right? That's going out that little thing. I would like to ask Ed, as my House representative, to look into that and maybe make a law change or a law bill so that we can use those things. Never mind just asking him. Let's get something on the record. And I would ask you, Ed, if you would do that next session.
The other thing as far as parking outside on the public road, I mean, with all due respect, that is not a Fish and Game function. That is a town road. That particular area is actually wide enough, and people have parked there for years and years and years to access that brook. The brook itself, if it will float a canoe, is considered to be a quote-unquote navigable water and is therefore owned by the public. You own it, I own it, anybody that wants to use it owns it. So I'm not going to say that they wouldn't, but if it were me and I was issued a citation by Fish and Game for a parking violation on a town road, I think we would be having a date in court, and we'll get it before a judge and see what happens. But I hope it wouldn't come to that. But anything else on that subject or anything else under public input?
No, but I'll join her because I love swimming up there too.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful pond. I mean, there's no
Yeah.
that as far as clean water, that is very, very hard to beat. Very hard to beat. Little side note: a large, very large brook trout washed up on the shore up there 7 or 8, 9 years ago now. Weighed almost 6 pounds, and when it was analyzed, it actually died of old age.
Oh my gosh.
That's how clean Comeau Pond is. That it can actually sustain a trout throughout its life cycle. That's pretty incredible. So probably not found in a whole lot of places. So. Yes.
All right. So Joy from Ossipee. Misty and I went on a tour with Craig to see the town parks that we have here in town, and we went to Duncan Lake, which looked very nice. And I went back that evening with the kids, and everybody had a good time. So it is nice to have that cleaned up and ready for us. But I was just curious why it is that we're not able to keep up with maintaining our town parks. I mean, they are, you know, when other visiting sports teams come in, it is the first thing they see. Also, we went down to the Bear Camp River, which would be a beautiful place to hang out, and you wouldn't even know it was there at all. So what is the reason for not maintaining these properties?
Well, that's a very wide, loaded question. First of all, as it comes to Duncan Lake, we agreed that it needed some attention, and it's got some attention. We're going to do some more. We've got Brad working on getting the DES permits to get some good wash sand hauled in there and actually make the beach into more of a beach. We have a lot of recreation areas all over the town. Constitution Park is one, and I wish Craig was here, that we've met with him on extensively. The problem is, in my mind, is the town tried to do, they put the cart before the horse. They did a bunch of work over there. They put in a ball field, they put in a soccer field, and yet there isn't enough water to water the grass to keep them nice. The pump that's over there, the well that's over there is completely substandard to growing grass on top of sand, which is what that whole area is. So we instructed Brad back in the spring, he's still working, you can bring us up to date on where you are with it, but to have the well evaluated and get a cost estimate of what we need to do to improve the ability to water. Because until we can water it, it makes absolutely no sense to spend tens of thousands of dollars on redoing fields that we don't have the water to keep green. Constitution Park in and of itself needs a lot of attention, but we need to have the water before we can do anything else. The property that you're talking about up on the Bear Camp, which is up off of Newman Drew Road, is a property which had been run and maintained by the Boy Scouts for years and years and years. As scouting has kind of gone by the wayside, so has that property. It is a really nice piece of property that has a lot of potential uses. And it's going to take, quite frankly, some people that have some interest in doing something with it. I mean, we've talked about trying to reestablish a parking area and to clean up the roads so people can get in. That's not an answer in and of itself. I mean, to me, if any of the potential of that property is actually going to be utilized, it's going to take a group of people that say, let's grab this and let's do it. We then have the Y field down in Ossipee Corner. I'm trying to think of where else we've got. There are a lot of recreational properties.
Well, the Y field looked really nice. I thought it could use a little bit of a playground.
Yep.
If there was a playground, I think people would go and use it more.
Yep.
But definitely the surface, I don't know. I mean, if there are sports teams coming to our park, I feel like it should be, you know, I wouldn't invite anyone in my house if I hadn't cleaned it. So
I'll be honest with you, I'll take it one step further. I think it ought to be nice for our own kids, never mind the distance. I mean, I think that Constitution Park in particular is one that kind of sits sour with me because that was a really, really pretty field. But you can't keep it pretty if you can't water it.
Can you get access to the lake? Can you suck water out of the lake?
I don't think we'll need to. What we're looking at is having to expand. First, we're going to analyze the well that's there and see if it can be improved. If not, then correct me, Brad, we'd probably be looking at a cistern in order to be able to pump water and then store it so that we could water it.
Yeah, even if we'd have to improve the well to do that. We don't have the data on the well yet. But even if it was a better well there, we still need to fill a cistern up, probably like a 10,000 gallon type system there. It would give us the water we would need to sprinkle all the fields up there and stuff. Then it could recharge at night obviously when nobody's using it, so that'd be the way you'd have to go with it, so.
What is the time frame on having that?
I did reach out to a well cover that we used over at the transfer station a year or two ago when we had an issue over there, and they haven't got back to me on a date they come over and test, but I have reached out.
Can you give us an update
Yeah,
on that?
yeah, because we did repair the power over there a couple of weeks ago, I think it was. When we were over there, we got the power back on, so we could get with the pumps running now, so that'll be happening this summer. Yeah.
One of the other things, real quick, the other thing that we discussed before Martha came on the board, but that I know Sam involved in. One of the other things that I quite frankly think has to happen is right now we have a recreation department. The recreation department consists of one person, full-time, and a part-time second person. If you look at any decent-sized town which have a number of recreational properties, and it sounds funny, but first of all, I think we need to get away from having just a rec department and have an actual parks and rec department. I think that the people that are then working for the parks department are the people who are mowing your fields, lining the fields, going down and picking up the trash at the town beach every day. The town over the years, in order to try to save money, I mean, if you think back 15 years ago, we had 2 full-time people in our rec department. We actually have gone backwards at the same time that we've tried to increase the number of programs that you have. I think that we need to divorce those two, that the rec department is the rec department and the parks department is the parks department. And it may well mean that you hire another full-time person. That's something that we have trouble sometimes getting to the budget committee, but that's a process. I think the argument can be made right now that there is more than enough work to keep that person busy. And in the winter months, we can get back to having a good skating rink, somebody that's available to flood it on a regular basis when it has to be done. Right now, that gets done by Craig when he can and when he doesn't have something else going. I think that it's something that needs to be expanded. And I think right now you're getting everything you can get out of the employees that you've got. And if you would want more, which I think there would be widespread support for, then you're going to have to add people.
I couldn't agree with you any more on that point, that having a Parks and Rec department would be wise. I think taking care of the amenities that we have makes us extremely marketable and allows people to enjoy what we do currently have.
There's a lot to enjoy.
There really is. I've taken that tour with Craig as well, and I'll say it again. I still have family and friends that leave this town to do things that this town really has, and it just needs to be kept up with. The original reason I raised my hand was, while it's great to get water at Constitution Park, there's a bigger problem to that. I'm only just learning about it, dealing with the foundation down at ACE, is when you have something that's very good soil that just drains, you need retention. And it's not just a matter of installing a well. I would imagine you'd need a layer of clay and then layers of loam and then your grass or your sod.
They actually did that. I don't know about the ball field, but when they put the soccer field in, they did do that.
Yeah.
So there is a layer of clay there. But they did it right when they built it. The problem is it just didn't have enough water to water it. And I don't care whether it's your lawn, in these periods like this, it will completely kill it. You just don't have any water.
Right. You mentioned the soccer field. I mean, if you look at that soccer field, while I'm sure it was installed with fantastic intentions, I wouldn't want to run on that. You're going to break your leg.
Yeah, it's not just the grass.
There's a lot there. It's a big project, and it would be very expensive, but I think there's a marriage of two issues there. One is the water, and one is retaining that water so it is beneficial to what you water.
Maybe, does it need a fence around it? Are people driving on it? Is that why it's uneven?
On the soccer field? No, that's all.
It is fence around it.
The soccer field, it is more than just grass. And then that's one of the things that we discussed with Greg. Once we get the water addressed so that we can then water what we need to do with a new field. We need to come up with a capital improvement plan on recreation alone, in my mind. Start a capital reserve account, and once you know what you're looking to spend over what period of years, then you can financially plan for it. There is no reason I mean, right now, and again, and I've said this over and over again, the town of Ossipee financially can afford to do this. We can afford to have nice things. We can afford to take care of our parks. We've lowered the tax rate 68 cents over the last 4 years, and you right now have a $1.4 million surplus sitting there. So it's not about being able to afford it. It's being about coming up with a good plan and then simply presenting it to the voters, because the money is here to pay for it. The town, and I'm not suggesting we blow money, but there is money there for us to have nice fields for our kids. There's no excuse. There's no reason why we shouldn't.
And there's a lot of matches out there too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Anybody else on the public input? Billy?
You know, same thing on the parks and stuff. We need trash cans at these places. We went down there and cleaned the beach up, did a little work just to make it look presentable, and there's trash everywhere. And the carry in, carry out theory is great, but if that was a fact, we wouldn't be picking up beside the road either. So, but we need to get some trash cans. I priced them out just real quick like today, and they go from $90 to $150 a piece. But we need some trash cans.
The carry in, carry out is a great idea. And for the responsible people that use those properties, they will carry in and carry out. The unfortunate fact of the matter is, for those who are not responsible, they are not. They're going to carry it in, but they are not going to carry it out. So the question is, do we put the trash cans down and pick it up so that the rest of the responsible people can enjoy a nice beach? And I think the answer is yes. Your thoughts, Sam? I mean, I think we should put them down on the beach alone. You know, not up in the parking area. That way we won't be encouraging people to bring in their household trash down and drop it off. But I think on the beach area itself, we need to do that. But if we're going to do that, then that means that they got to be emptied every day.
Yeah, no, the highway will take care of it.
Okay, they got to be emptied every day. Otherwise, you'll have raccoons and.
Are you going to change them down?
Yep, like I said, I'll look into it a little deeper and I'll have you some numbers next week. But,
honestly, I think it's just good.
okay.
Can I share my comments about trash cans? When I first purchased the property next to when PB&J's was open, I put trash cans out. I think it'll be a great experiment, but I hope it's more, I really hope it's not an experiment. I think you're going to find it's going to be tough to keep those maintained. You're going to be surprised what you find in those trash cans.
Well, unfortunately, we're unpleasantly surprised what we already find on the ground and in the bushes. So,
Trash being left, bags of trash being left.
Yeah, they use them in one place.
That's my...
And if you're hanging out at the beach and you're bored, you can pick up trash and there's somewhere to put it versus nowhere to put it right now. And you could make a nice sign that says something like, you know, we prefer you carry your trash out, but if you can't, do it. Because then I might not leave my trash behind, but if I needed to, I could.
I want some stands, you know. If you see that it's being improved, hopefully when people get there, they'll say, wow, they're fixing this, it's good.
Yep.
And they'll pay attention. You ignore it, they just leave the trash. I say, put the cans down there.
so just any problem with that? Just do it. Don't come back to us with more prices. Just do it. Okay.
Another suggestion, that when we were at Duncan Lake, one of the people that was at the beach asked if there would be a grill out there, so you know that you could cook on. So there isn't one now, but it might be nice because Hannaford's right down the road. I brought my family back and we had a picnic, but we like doing that and having hot dogs and stuff.
Do something like you see at the state park, like a permanent posted mount, post-mounted. I don't know if we got time to get that done for this summer, but it's certainly something that ought to be looked into.
A rainy day is
Work on something.
See what you can come up with on those. Okay. Do we have anything else on the public input, sir?
Yeah, does the town own that old sand pit by the cemetery?
no. Archie's pit.
Okay. No, because I check that occasionally too. I go drive through there. Every time I go in there, I mean, it looks like a professional shooting range right now. We got targets all over the place. You can see piles of where people have burnt stuff. And it's like, wow.
Private property.
Anybody else have anything else under public input? Ed?
About 2 weeks ago, you sent a letter out to the district towns of Governor Wentworth for the school. Did you receive anything back?
We did. They're in the red folder here, but I'll read you what we have got so far. We have received so far 3 written responses. The first is from the town of Tuftonboro. It's addressed to Ellen. It said the Tuftonboro Selectmen met today and discussed the letter that the town of Ossipee sent in regards to forming a multi-town budget committee. The Selectmen thanked the town of Ossipee for expressing this concern. The Tuftonboro Selectmen understand that the school board finance committee will be putting together a session with their budget committee and members of their towns to discuss the budget process as well as the existing cooperative funding formula. At this time, they feel that this would be an inappropriate way to start discussions. A written letter will be mailed to you as well for your records. So that's the town of Tuftonboro. The town of New Durham, dear Ossipee Board of Selectmen, the New Durham Select Board is in receipt of your letter dated June 11, 2018 and discussed it at our June 25, 2018 Select Board meeting. The New Durham Select Board fully concurs with the Ossipee position on the subject and is very concerned regarding the Governor Wentworth Regional School District's methodology of calculating school funding rates for member communities. Additionally, the New Durham Select Board unanimously concurs that a Governor Wentworth Regional School Budget Committee with representation from each school town is greatly needed, and this budget committee must have full budget oversight of the budget development. We, the New Durham Select Board, support the creation of a Governor Wentworth School District Budget Committee with representation from the district members' communities, and furthermore support a budget process whereby the school district's budget must meet budget committee approval for submission to the voters for final decision/approval. Please keep us posted to this important matter and let us know how we may continue to support this critically needed change in the school budgeting process. And that's signed by the New Durham Board of Selectmen. We received a letter from the town of Brookfield. Dear Ossipee Board of Selectmen, I'm writing in response to your letter dated 6/11 in which you asked if Brookfield would be in favor of establishing a budget committee with a representative from each town within the school district to provide financial oversight and review of the proposed budget. This matter was discussed at the Selectmen's meeting last evening. Brookfield is interested in participating. We look forward to hearing from you in the near future with information on moving forward. Those are the 3 responses that we received. 2 in favor, 1 against. We also have something from Effingham.
Effingham was the correspondence that you read last week. They were just
Kind of on the
questioning for
fence.
clarification.
And I saw a draft of Wolfboro's letter. I was surprised I didn't get to you today. They knew you guys wanted it for tonight's meeting, so I can't remember, obviously word for word what it basically would have said there. But we did have a discussion about it at our meeting the end of June. Concur that it is an issue with all the 6 towns involved with the Governor Wentworth School District. The board did feel that with the, I don't know if it's necessarily the RSAs, but with the legislature, the way that they govern the school budget process and the finance committee that they have there set up for it, that an oversight committee wouldn't have much impact on the school board part, creating a budget, but they would be in favor of sitting down with all the towns and discuss this further to see if there's, where it would go anyway and stuff like that. Not necessarily jump right in on board right now with establishing a district-wide budget committee, and because we feel that we're not sure whether it would have any jurisdiction over what they already have in place for it. We did also have our town manager conferred with the finance manager for Governor Wentworth School, and that person said they're more than happy to meet with any town at any time to sit down and go over the processes that they have and answer any questions at public hearings and stuff like that. So that is out there also to invite them to a meeting maybe with all the towns, if we can put something all together, so.
Listen, and I've made this very clear, I hope, I'm not looking to shoot at anybody that's on the current school board or otherwise. But if you think about what a budget committee adds to a process, you take here in this town, we have about a $6.2 million operating budget when it's all said and done. We have an independently elected budget committee, whose only function is to be that go-between between their town government and the voters. To go over the budget, review everything, make sure that every dollar is accounted for, and then make a recommendation to the voters. On the county level, they oversee about a $30 million budget, and they have a 13-member delegation, which goes through every line item of that budget and provides that oversight, that public oversight of what that government administrative unit is looking to spend. Yet, when it comes to the school district, we have a $50 million budget. 50 million, over 50 million. And the budget process only involves that government agency. So you have a finance director, much like you have at the county, certainly have a finance director here, who is providing supposedly all of the oversight for a $50 million budget. And then you have a subcommittee of the school board who does a budget review of some sort. I just don't think that's a transparent, openly overt budget process on more than $50 million in budget. I don't know about the legalities of it. I know it's SB2, but I also know that Wilbur is an SB2 town and yet still has an independent budget committee. I think under the SB2 town of Wilbur, the budget that's actually presented to the voters must be approved by the budget committee, correct?
Yes, it's the budget committee's budget that's approved, not the select.
So it seems to me the fact that the school district is an SB2 entity would be Ed, help me out here, wouldn't it be the same idea?
I don't see why it's different.
Okay. No? Well, I guess we'll wait and see what Wilbur's letter actually says. And then I guess we need to do some checking. I mean, ultimately, if this were done, it would have to be, I would expect, approved by the voters. So I think our next step would be to submit a request to the school board to see if they're in favor of it, and if not, to see what it takes to get it entered on, put onto the warrant by petition.
Can I comment again?
Please.
I see a good opportunity here. Has there ever been a time where all the town's select boards get together? And what would stop us from doing that? It sounds like there's some movement that they would want to do that.
When I was selected, we did that 3 times or something.
Oh, with the county. We did it with the
Where we had all the selected.
surrounding towns.
Surrounding towns.
and county,
We
yeah.
We went through about 4 of those, and then the last I knew it was Wakefield's turn to set it up, and they never did it. It just went out.
Ed, can you repeat what you were suggesting?
Well, I'm suggesting to use this opportunity to bring the district towns together and have a conversation. It's nice sending letters back and forth, but it seems very ineffective.
It is.
Someone, it's a good introduction. It's like an invitation to a party. You know you want to go, but you got to RSVP. So I would think that if we could get all the towns together and actually have a discussion about this, I still believe that if you discuss this with Wolfboro and Tuftonboro, the townspeople, they're going to admit there's a problem. But if we need to all come together in one place and talk about this, because I believe it's going to need legislation. Because if you put in legislation now that only affects one district, they don't want to pass it because they feel they're stomping on local control. So if we could get all of the towns together to come up with some solutions, I think we have a good opportunity. So I would like to work on that, to host something. I don't know when would be a good time to do it. But we need to have that discussion.
I have no opposition to it. I mean, I guess the best way to do that is to pull together some prospective dates and float it to the other boards and see if they're willing to meet. I don't have any issue. I'd go.
I've noticed when you read the Tuftonboro letter, they said something about the funding formula, that they're either working on it or they wish to address the funding formula?
No, I didn't think it sounded much like that, but down at Tuftonboro, this isn't a letter, this is from their administrative secretary. Tufton Borough Selectmen met today and discussed the letter that the town of Ossipee sent in regards to forming a multi-town budget committee. The Selectmen thanked the town of Ossipee for expressing this concern. The Tufton Borough Selectmen understand that the school board finance committee will be putting together a session with their budget committee, which I don't think they have, and members of their towns to discuss the budget process as well as the existing cooperative funding formula. At this time, they feel that this would be an inappropriate way to start discussions. A written letter will be mailed to you as well.
See, that discussion should be all of us together about that funding. And that's where I think we
Well,
get a better outcome if we do that.
You want to set it up?
Yeah, I think it's important to do that.
No, but I mean, do you want to grab the phone and try to get a multi-town meeting?
And host a party.
Please do.
Host the event and bring it together. We'll have a party too.
Please do. You have any opposition to that?
No, I think
Please
it's a good
do.
idea.
Anything else under public input? If not, we're going to start into the red folder. We have the minutes of the Selectmen's work session and non-public, which occurred on Monday, June 25th. I make a motion we accept them as printed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we have the minutes of the Selectmen's meeting, which occurred on Monday, June 25th. I make a motion we accept them as printed. All in favor? Aye. For anybody watching and new here, it may seem like we blow through some of this, but we've all independently had a chance to review everything that's in the folder prior to the meeting. We have a payroll reimbursement request from the Water and Sewer Department for the amount of $3,585.06. I make a motion we approve it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We had payroll for taxes and benefits in the week for a week ending 6/30 in the amount of $45,269.70. Excuse me, we had accounts payable for week ending 6/25 in the amount of $195,401.43. For a total disbursed last week of $240,671.13. Additionally, we had water and sewer accounts payable, which we track separately, in the amount of $17,166.66. I make a motion we sign. All in favor? Aye. We have the minutes of the Ossipee Economic Development Council, which are here in the folder. If anybody would like to look at them? This is the trustee of trust funds from the Board of Selectmen. It's the refund of a cemetery trust fund. It's for a cemetery lot refund. I make a motion we sign it. All in favor? Aye. This is to the Board of Selectmen from Karen Anthony regarding the library employees who receive benefits. The full-time library employees are not enrolled in the town's benefit policy. The Library Board of Trustees have inquired about the employees becoming eligible for this benefit. What's that?
It's for the short-term disability.
Short-term disability benefit. The Library Board of Trustees have inquired about the employees becoming eligible for this benefit. The estimated yearly cost for the 3 employees totals $411.83. Do you approve the full Do you approve for the 3 full-time library employees to receive the benefit effective January 1, 2019? If you have any questions, do not hesitate. I don't have any issue. We've always treated the full-time library employees, even though they're governed a little bit separately, excuse me, the same as all the other town employees.
Yes.
Any issues? I make a motion we approve it. All in favor? Aye. We have a supplemental warrant, tax warrant to collect $694. Make a motion we sign it. All in favor? Aye. We have several clerical abatements. This one is on map 129, lot 1. This is on a piece of property we sold at town auction. The town is no longer the owner of the property as of 6/23/2017. It doesn't result in any refund or abatement, but I make a motion to approve it. All in favor? We have a supplemental warrant. This is on map 270, lot 2, to collect $364. I make a motion we sign it. All in favor? Aye. We have a, that actually goes hand in hand with this property. This was on another one. This is on map 270, lot 2, one that we sold at town auction. Results in no refund or abatement. Make a motion we sign it. All in favor? Aye. This is a request for administrative abatement. This is on map 250, lot 5. This particular property, this property owner was granted a demo permit by a previous building inspector in January 2016 when he still owed taxes on a mobile home. This results in a refund or abatement of $286.23. I make a motion to sign. All in favor? Aye. This is a further request for clerical abatement, same map and lot, and it's on a mobile home that had been demolished and should not therefore have been taxed. Results in a refund of $297.85. I make a motion to approve it. All in favor? Aye. This is the same property. This is for tax year 2017. Results in a refund or abatement of $116.37. I make a motion to approve it. All in favor? Aye. Same property, same shed. 2018 results in a refund or abatement of $37. I make a motion to approve it. All in favor? Aye. This is a request for clerical abatement. This is on map 73, lot 109. This is on a camper. We didn't receive the bill of sale for the camper until after the tax bill has already gone out. This results in a refund or abatement of $40.90. I make a motion we sign. All in favor? Aye. This is on the same property, a warrant to go collect $41. I make a motion to sign. All in favor? Aye. This is a report of timber cut. Trying to map them up. Map 266, lot 9. This is a report of timber actually cut and a warrant for the tax collector to collect $2,042.58 in timber tax. I make a motion we sign. All in favor? This is a request for a tax exemption, veterans tax credit. Been reviewed by our assessor and okayed by him. I make a motion we approve it. All in favor? Aye. This is a copy of the recycling center cash log showing that we collected $8,114.15 in the month of June. Excuse me. This is a public notice which will be posted here. It'll be on the town website as well. The town of Ossipee will be accepting sealed bids for the following surplus vehicles: a 2004 Ford F-350, a 2012 Chevrolet Impala, and a 2013 Chevrolet Impala. All bids must be submitted in a sealed envelope and submitted by 4 p.m. on Friday, July 27th. Here in the folder, this is to the Wetlands Bureau. It's a wetlands permit application regarding 3 Cold Springs Circle in Ossipee, which is here in the folder if anybody'd like to look at it. We have an application for a website link to the town's website from Integrity Earthworks. I make a motion we approve it. All in favor? Aye. We have an application for a website link to our website from Local Presence at 75 Main Street. I make a motion we approve it. All in favor? Aye. We have a memorandum from the New Hampshire Municipal Association. This is on the 2019-2020 legislative policy process and important dates. It's here in the folder if anybody'd like to look at it. We have a contract for use of facilities for the VFW to use the gym here for a town penny sale September 8th. Schedule's been okayed by Craig. I make a motion we approve it. All in favor? Aye. We have a letter from the Department of Natural Resources, Natural and Cultural Resources. It's on a planned timber harvest from 34 acres of the Pine River State Forest in the town of Ossipee. It's here in the folder if anybody'd like to look at it. We have a notice from the New Hampshire Electric Co-op and its contractor consultant, which is Vegetation Control Service, Inc. They intend to selectively apply herbicides to undesirable vegetation grown within the power line right-of-way corridors located in our community. There's a map and everything here of the areas that they intend to treat. If anybody is interested, it's here to be looked at. We have a copy of the Watershed News.
I think we should post that.
Post the co-op one? Yeah, that's fine. Post it on the bulletin board or you on the
We should
website?
post it on the website.
Yep.
People have a right to know where herbicides being spread on their land.
I have no issue with that. It's here. We'll take care of that. Watershed News, copy of it here if anybody'd like to look at it. We have the Highway Department work log for 6/24 to 6/30, which is here to be looked at. We have a memo from Brad Harriman regarding the Windows property. After viewing the project at the Windows property, I've determined that it would take about 3 to 4 days with an excavator, which we would have to rent 2 to 3 trucks and 2 laborers with chainsaws to complete the necessary work to remove the scrub and sapling growth from the property. This is really maintenance work that will be ongoing as the growth in the area will continue, especially further out in the clearing. In my opinion, if the Highway Department starts to take on these types of projects, it will take away from their work that has been done on maintaining and improving town roads. Over the past several years, we have brought the roads up to a standard that now holds up to and has minimal damage during the severe storms that we encounter. I would hate to see this trend revert back and have the road system start to deteriorate. My recommendation is to have the Conservation Commission put this project out to bid to a private contractor. The installation of a small parking area off Annie Nichols Road to accommodate around 4 cars would be a one-time type of project that would take about 2 days to build. This type of project wouldn't have the recurring impact that the Windows project would have on the Highway Department, so I would be okay with recommending that the Highway Department build this parking area. Thoughts?
I agree with that.
Yeah. My concern from the get-go was that this is going to be something it's not a one-time deal. It's going to keep having to be redone. We've had this, Joe and I had this conversation upstairs. I do like the ideas that he has as far as trying to, not once the brush is down, to put grass in there so that it doesn't come back and mow it. But I think, I understand the Highway Department's concern on this. Joe, help me out with this. What you're proposing to do down there, is it different than what we had already put out for a request for proposal?
As far as the bidding goes, yes. And that was Brad's, well, I mean, the discussion that Brad and I had when we initially went down there, Brad brought up about doing the grass, which is what I've had conversations with other people. It's common sense. In order to create a more less maintenance environment down there, just to get rid of the trees that are encumbering the view right there right now. So.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is, if we went forward with what had already been proposed as far as getting rid of those trees and the stumps, that would be the step in the right direction towards doing the grass, which if we did that in the spring.
Well, the initial plan, which was during the fall, was not to do stumping. It was only to clean up the area. It was to remove the current brush that was growing up. It had nothing to do with stumping. The stumping had to do with the conversation this spring in order to go to a grassy environment. So it has nothing to do with what was previously proposed. That's part of a new proposal.
Can we then get out the RFP post haste for stumping that property with the understanding that we want to lean towards doing the grass in the spring? And if you would take that back to the Conservation Commission to make sure they're willing to pay for it, and get those two things together, I don't see any reason why that can't get done.
Do you want the proposal from the town or from the Conservation Commission? Because technically,
I think it's still. I think
stewards of.
I think what happened before, the reason it kind of got kicked back to here, was because there was a concern about the bidding process. And if the Conservation Commission doesn't object, I don't mind doing the bidding process still through us, and I think it's probably the most transparent way to do it. Put it on the town website, do all of that. So long as they're willing to pay for it, then
Well, the reason I think it should go through the town for the bidding process is because because you have a finance person here, and all bidding is supposed to go through the finance person. So that is the natural course to take, I would imagine. And in the discussion, I mean, I really think the two-part process is probably the better way to deal with it. I'm just trying to conserve the town's funds as best as possible.
I agree completely. And I like the idea of doing the grass. My concern with doing that this fall is we're past the growing season.
Yeah.
So why not do the stumping now with an expectation that you're going to finish it up in the spring by doing the gravel, the loam, and then the planting at a time of year when the grass is actually going to grow.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Just a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it would be great to get the bidding underway really quickly because the place is awful right now. So, yeah. Okay, thank you.
I think it's a good idea to find us a proposal which the Conservation Commission sees it, so
Oh yeah.
everybody knows what everybody's asking for. So.
Yep.
And that's everything that was said.
She agreed that it was a good idea for the town to do the bidding process, but at that point that the Conservation Commission ought to see it and be a part of approving it because it is your area of responsibility.
Well,
what we can do is we can work with you to draw up the proposal really quick.
Absolutely. One of the issues that was raised by Tim Otterbach a couple of weeks ago was that there was a scope of work that was already presented and proposed by the Conservation Commission that never went out to bid, but there hasn't been discussion about changing that scope of work.
Correct. That is true.
Okay.
And that ensued in a whole other discussion process because you can't have a discussion without having information. So that's what was brought up, and so that's where that lives right now. That'll happen at the next meeting.
We have a water and sewer warrant for the town to collect, the tax collector to collect $40. I make a motion to sign it. All in favor? Aye. And we have a water and sewer note warrant to allow the tax collector to collect $86,262.42. I make a motion to sign it. All in favor? Aye. We have a notice from Charter Communications there regarding their scheduling issues. It's here in the folder if anybody'd like to look at. We received a treasurer's report this afternoon showing that our current bank balance is $2,581,025.69. The next school payment's $1.4 million, I believe.
We brought in, what did you say the balance is?
2.5.
2.5 million, but this next school payment is 1.4.
It won't be long. Under old business, Brad, anything new on 28, 171? Any update? Covered bridge?
I've had conversations with the engineer and DOT. Nothing's really changed there. It's still in the process of getting the approval going and getting it out to bid. They're still working towards anticipating a July bid date here to get that out and stuff. So it is slowly getting there. Ellen asked me about it. That hasn't been locked for quite a while because actually the back of the bridge is wide open now anyway. So, so somebody, if it opened or the wind did or whatever there, it's there's nothing in there that can hurt. There's actually no floor in the bridge anyway, so they can't get up there and walk very far. So. Nothing new. They haven't got back to me yet, but I did hear that DOT representatives were in town last week walking the area there and stuff. I assume they were probably viewing the crosswalk location stuff that we're proposing. So that tells me that they're reviewing it and they're getting in that spot where the process where they'll be getting back to us and with recommendations or approvals. So.
Can you reach out to them Friday next month to see if we can
Yep.
put them up there? Town Beach we've discussed, and it was on Ossipee we've discussed. Boston Post King is on. Renewing our invitation to, if anybody knows who may be the oldest living Ossipee resident, we're looking to present the Boston Post King. Tell me what they have to be older than 102
as of August 1st.
As of August 1st. That's Harry's almost there. No. Not quite. Not quite. No. He's in line maybe for next year or the year after.
The oldest one I know would be Toby Lawrence for now. I don't know if anybody's older than him. He's not. Huh? No, he's not 102 yet. But.
Yeah. Myrtle.
Winkley, May Winkley.
She's not quite. She's a little younger. Not much.
Sorry, May.
But I'm quite sure she's a little younger. So, if anybody knows, in all seriousness, if anybody that's going to be that's older than 102 on the 1st of August, please let us know. We're hoping to again do that. The Boston Post Cane is a very neat tradition. It recognizes the town's oldest citizen. And our actual Boston Post Cane is at the Historical Society. And it used to be that if it was presented to somebody, then once that person passed away, it was get returned to the town. We actually now have had the ability to buy an actual replica of the Boston Post Cane. They're really relatively inexpensive. And it's something that is able to stay with the family even after that person's passing. So it's a really kind of a neat family memento. So we will be redoing that and hopefully getting that out shortly. And we've talked about the school district budget committee request. Any other old business? Anybody have new business? And a second public input. Anybody come up with anything as a result of everything you've heard?
We put some new sidewalk signs up in the middle of the road. I don't know if you noticed them. We put them out today. We had them kicking around up overhead. I just happened to stumble across them and we put them out. So.
Certainly thank you guys for the attention on the beach, and thank you. Very expeditiously done, and it's nice given, especially the weather we've had this week. Yeah. I'm sure that it's been appreciated by the people that have used the beach. So.
If they get down this week, let them swim for a while.
Joe Deegan, I would like to thank you for stepping up and being the chairman for the Conservation Commission. I think you've brought a lot to that commission. I think you have a good board.
Well, we're going to do more. I mean, I got to go do my business every once in a while, so it leaves gaps. So the economic development lets me stay on too, even though they suffer with me being the way I am. But
True, sir.
thank you.
Do we have anything else? If not, I make a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Go home and not have
Measure along.